So very good morning everyone. So today in this session we are going to discuss about how to create data frames. So in continuation with our previous session where we discuss about that how to create data frames through external data sources. So now we are going to discuss about how to create data frame using RDDs. So let's start. Just create data frames using RDD. When we create a data frame using RDD, we have two different approaches. The first approach is like to infer schema using reflection. And I hope you remember that we have talked about that. We are going to discuss in detail in the coming session. Now, when we create a data frame using RDD, that means first we need to create an RDD. And then after that, we will infer the schema from that. That means this approach leads to more concise code. So when we create a data frame through this approach, then we need to write very less code as compared to that. And then this approach works very well when we know the schema in advance. So when we know the schema, already know the schema, or then we can easily create the data frame through the RDD. Okay, so that means this approach is like, in this approach we are using reflection to infer the schema. Okay, so now let's take an example. Let's say you have an RDD called line, and then you are creating RDD through the Spark context.txt file. And in the text file, let's say we have some of the any text file, people text file. So people.txt text file, and this people text file is having, let's say, John, comma, let's say 30, Smith, comma 28. So this kind of file is there in the txt file, and we have created a RDD with the help of text file. Now we are moving this to next, doing some more transformation on that. So line dot map, and then applying the lambda function and putting x. Now I'm splitting based on this comma over here. So x dot split, and I'm using comma, right? So just split part is into different parts. So I'm making it as an RDD as a parts. Okay, so now this will create as a part. I think better it's we will make this schema in this way. So we will make this schema like this here, and then we are splitting based on this one information. Okay, now this one row we are making as a row by, or in case if it is no comma, then we can make as a new line over here. Okay, so that depends upon the scenario how the data is given. The objective is to create one row, or you can say this one row will, this whole data will become a one row of the data frame. Okay, so it depends upon how we get the data, and based on understanding the data, understand the data, and then we can split based on that particular scenario. Now let's say if you are able to segregate one row, then after that we apply the actual row in the data frame concept. So what we are going to do over here is, so we are making parts.map. Again, we are applying some transformation. Let's say this transformation is like, let's say pp. Okay, now lambda, and then again I'm using x, and then I will create a row over here, and then row will contain the schema also and the value. Okay, so now row will contain the schema and as well as the value, and then this will contain, let's say, name. I'm giving the name, which is my name over here, and let's say age over here. So name is equal to first element, and then comma, then age is equal to int of, or int of x of 1. So this parenthesis for this, and this parenthesis for row, and this parenthesis lambda function. So now with this, applying this row, we are able to create the just like a tabular structure over here. Okay, so what we are doing in this context, that means here what we are doing, we are just loading the text file, and then after that we are converting each line to a row. So each line we are converting into row. In case this is not comma, this is a new line already, so we can create by putting the appropriate delimiter over here, right? Now we have this P part. So now you will utilize this. So now we have a Spark function called, in Spark we have create data frame. So now we have a function called create data frame, and then I am going to pass this P, because this P will contain the data, and then my data frame will be created. So my data frame is like df is equal to my data frame, and I have created a data frame over here. So this way we have created data frame. And in addition to that, let's say if we want to use as an SQL, then we need to register this data frame to like create or replace temp view, and which we have discussed in the last session about this. And then here I can put, let's say, people. So this will become my something like a table. Okay, and then this is my you can create something like. So now we can utilize this. Now we can utilize this, and then we can call like spark.sql, and then we can apply the SQL command, whatever you want to, like select star from and then people. So this is the people over here. Now I will this will behave just like a table, right? So in this scenario, what we have done over here, is like we have just infer the schema, and we have register the data frame as a table called people, right? So this is the first way how we can infer this. Yeah. The important point over here, this if you see it again, then first we have created an RDD over here, and then after that we did some transformation based on just to create a row, different rows, and after that we apply actual single rows, and it convert each line into the different rows. Now with this we have created a data frame over here, and after data frame we have created a temp view, which will help us to apply the SQL command just like we did in Oracle. So with this, automatically the schema will be inferred based on that, because we have created age and name as a schema type. Okay, so this is our first approach in doing this. Now the next approach for creating a data frame is through programmatically specifying or the schema, and then we are applying all these sessions based on the PySpark, not Scala. Okay, the Scala will have a different way of writing the code. Now when we have to create a data frame programmatically, where we specify the schema, in that first we need to create a schema. That means first we will construct a schema for that. And I hope you are understanding that when I say data frame, obviously the data frame contains like table structures. That means we need a schema for that, and then we can apply first creating the schema, and then after that we can apply this schema to existing RDD. So that means we have an RDD, then we can apply this to RDD. And as compared to the previous method, this method or this approach is more verbose, right? And it will allow to this method will allow to construct data set. Okay, when we have a column and their data types, and their types or data types are not known in advance. In the earlier one we should know the schema in advance, and here if you don't know the data types in advance, then we can apply this approach. That means until runtime, so we don't know the schema of this our structure, then we can apply this code. So now there are some steps are there which will help us to in creating. So what are the different steps for doing this, for creating the data frame with the help of like programmatically specified schema? So just first we create an RDD, okay, of tuples, or in case if you're not using tuple, or we can list from the original RDD. So whether we have a tuples or we can create a list of RDD. Then after that we create a schema, and then schema should be matching. So that means this should be a matching structure of the tuples, or whether you are using list. So schema should match the tuple or list. Then after that we apply the schema to RDD. Okay, then we apply the schema to the RDD. So now in continuation with our same example, so let's take, we have a line and then we are creating a RDD, let's say text file, and then I'm applying the people.txt, and this txt contains the same file. Now let me create the parts and then line.map, and then I'm using lambda function x, and then I'm using x.split and split based on color, right? Now after that, what we are doing is we are using part dot map, again one more transformation, and then let's say this is p, and then lambda x is equal to, now I have to specify the things. That means this x, I will write like x0 comma x of 1. So this is my key value pair, and then I will use the some, if my space is there then I will strip the content, and if it is not then I can use like this only. Okay, so now this p is defined over here. Now p is defined. Now after this creating an RDD, now I will apply, or I will create first schema, and then schema which will be a string. Okay, and the schema is you can say string, and which is just like a name and space and age and like this. So this is will be a string, this is schema string, and then the schema is here encoded in a string over here. Now very important steps, because this you are creating an RDD, here you are creating a schema. Now the next very important step is you need to create fields. So now fields, how we create a field, we need to write a construct called struct field. So we have a construct called struct field. In the struct field I need to define the field name first, and then field name, and then I have to define struct type too, like let's say what is my struct type over here, right? Now after that I can get all the values from the schema. So let's say I'm using schema s, because schema might be some variable, inbuilt variable names. I'm using schema str. Okay, just to make it clear. So I'll use a schema str dot split. If I use a function called split blank, that means automatically by space it will split. Now it will split in, I'm in continuation, I'm writing for, and I'm using the field underscore name, and then in from this. So this is a way of writing the Python code. Okay, so it will contain name and age, and field name will contain first name, it will contain name and whatever the string type you have, you are using. Okay, and after that the schema string will split based on the age. This field name will contain age because of the for loop. Now this is your fields. Now once you have defined the fields in this through the schema, what you can do, you will do the struct type fields, and then you will call it as a schema. So this is your schema defined. Now we can define a data frame. We can create a data frame. Let's say my data frame is df, and then I can call spark dot create data frame, and then I have to mention first is your schema. Okay, this schema I'm talking about. Okay, schema as whatever you not want to give, and another one is your p, which is defined over here, this p. So I'm using these p and this. So now my data frame is defined over here. That means what we are doing over here is we are applying the schema to the RDD. Now in the same way what we did in the last approach, we can also create let's say schema people sp is a data frame. I'm using, or instead of that using this variable, now what we can do, we can directly go to the df dot create or place temp view, and then I'm using the giving some name to the normal, this is a logical name given to this people, so that I can use this people to spark dot SQL, and then I can call select star from people, and then I can apply some function, right? Then I can call some dot whatever the value, whatever the things we want to apply on that, they can do that. So these are the two different ways we can create the data frame. Okay, so these are the two basic way through RDD we can create. Okay, so just let's discuss one more approach. Okay, so now there is another way to create a data frame. So now let's discuss that also. Now we are just creating a data frame from range of numbers. Okay, So how we can create a data frame? I'm using a data frame, then I'm using a spark dot range. So let's say range I'm giving 5 dot, then there is a function called 2df. Okay, then 2df, this capital, the 2df will create a data frame. Okay, and this is your logical name to this data frame, which will be shown on the top of this. And after that I can apply show. So now this function show, what it will do, it will create num over here, and then it will tell the 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this will be the result for this data frame. 5 means 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 till before 5. Num will be defined over here and show will represent this. Now another way of defining this data frame is like spark dot range. Now I'm giving 5 to 10, and then I'm calling 2df, and then I'm again calling num, and then show. So in this scenario, what will happen, that this will be num and the answer will be 5, 6, 7, 8 and then 9. This is another way of creating the data frame through different option of range. And third way, we can also define like spark dot range, and then I can call 5, 15 and then 2. I'm defining 2, and then 2df dot, let's say num, again I'm giving num, and then dot show. So what will happen over here, this is num, and then this 2 will be a step. The step in the sense will start from 5, and then next step will be 7, and next will be 9, 11, and then next will be 13 over here. Okay, so this is again a different way of you can say defining the data frame. So now we understood a lot of way to define the data frame. Now after this, now we'll talk about what are the data frame readers. These are the very important thing we have done in the lab, but we will do it theoretically. Then we will define what is a data frame reader. Now this data frame reader is your, you can say, is your the core construct. Core construct for what it do? For reading data from the different data source, and then it will put this different data to different sources to your data frame. Right? Now very important and interesting thing is that we can only access data frame reader through the Spark session interface. Okay, the Spark session interface. That means, what does it mean? That it means that we can't create the instance of data frame reader. Right? We can't create the instance of the data. Now your instance of the data frame is available. Instance is available through, if you remember the last session, Spark session dot read. It is available, and then this will return the handle of the data frame reader object. Right? Now this first approach, this first approach will, what it will do, it will read your data frame, or you can say read the data. It will, this function or this approach will read the data from the static data. So when I say static data, or you can say static data sources into your data frame. Okay, but there is another approach, another method is called Spark session dot read streams. So this will actually return the instance to read it from the streaming. Okay, so this is basically used for streaming sources, and the streaming sources you are going to learn in your next session next year. Okay, next time you're going to learn when you're going to understand the streaming concept, where you are going to learn the Spark streaming as well as the Kafka streaming, K streams. So in that scenario you are going to learn two things. Okay, so now but we are going to utilize this approach in our current session. Now after that, there are few of the methods available in the data frame reader objects, and then these methods have some arguments. These methods have some arguments, and then we will discuss any kind of description is needed to define these steps. The first method which we are going to learn or understand, this is a format method. So that means in this format, it will tell you have to pass the argument, and then argument will comprise of different data formats. So different data formats available in this, and you can pass as an arguments are Parquet, or it can be your CSV, or it can be TXT. Yeah, it may be databases. It can be your any data formats which we are defining over here. So when I say static data sources, so I mean to say that it can be your data formats, it can be your table, it can be your CSV file, Parquet file, or TXT file. Okay, so this can be your JSON, or it can be your JDBC, or it can be your ORC file for Hives, or it can be your Avro. So these argument you can pass to this format, and then the default behavior, the default type is already set as a Parquet if you have not mentioned, or it will use whatever we have set in the configuration called spark.sql.sources.default. So whatever things we have set over here, it will be defined over there. Otherwise, default is your Parquet. Second method is your option. So in option, we need to write two things. The first is your mode, and second is you have to infer schema, and third is your path. So in the mode option can be permissive. It can be permissive, or it can be your fail fast, or it can be your drop malformed. There are three modes we have to define, and second one is your infer schema, which is you want to do yes or no, true and false. And third is your path, where you define the location or path of the schema or whatever the file, right? Path, you define the path of your location. Now in this, the default mode is permissive. Okay, and what is the meaning of permissive over here? So when I say permissive, the permissive means that it will set to null all the value which is not able to read it, or it is having some kind of error, or you can say error in the sense when it is reading the values, and some kind of error record is there, error record is not properly mentioned or not defined, then it will simply set to null in the permissive. But in case of fail fast, if we provide the fail fast, then what it will do, it will throw the exception when it is not able to, you can say, render, or it is not able to infer the actual record. It will throw an exception whenever it will meet the corrupted record. Okay, corrupted record. Third one is your drop malformed. So when I say what drop malformed will do, it will just ignore the value, and that means it will ignore all the value whenever we, or you can say ignore the whole complete value whenever it will encounter value or record. So whenever it encounters some kind of, so setting a null and ignoring the value to different way, and fail fast will throw an exception. Now very interesting and important to remember that when we use infer or mode, these two things, infer and your mode is only applicable to JSON and CSV file, because from JSON and CSV file we are able to infer the schema. Okay, when we use CSV or either JSON file, in that scenario only we are able to infer the schema from, right? Now third method is your schema. So when I say schema and then argument, we can pass any kind of DDL strings, or it can be have any kind of struct type. Okay, like a int, or like b string, whatever it is, or something like that you can. So when you specify, when you specially mention, or when you specify the schema, what happens? This is going to make the loading very faster. Already know the schema, and apart from the loading the data faster, it will also ensure that the data will conforms to the expected schema. Okay, now the fourth method is your load method. This load method will give the path to your data sources, but this load can be empty. This load can be empty only in one condition, because this is optional when you write the path in the option field, in the second field. I'll just show you here. When you write this path in the option field, in that scenario you have to keep this empty, because you have defined this option. In the option you have defined the path is specified. In that scenario you can skip this part. So I just told you that with the JSON and the CSV file we can infer the schema, because while using the Parquet file, let's say we have a Parquet file. So what happens? The Parquet file metadata internally contains the schema, and which is inferred automatically. So inferred automatically. So we don't need to specify the schema in the Parquet file. Okay. Now apart from this, we have Spark is having some built-in data sources, which is very important to remember. Okay. So now the different you can say different data sources are like your text files, or it can be CSV files, and it can be your JSON file, or it can be your Parquet file, or it can be your ORC file, or it can be your JDBC files. And let me put the name over here, and this is your data format. So what kind of data format these data sets uses? So now text file is actually your text. Internally it is text. CSV is also text. JSON is something like text. But Parquet file is your binary files. ORC is also your binary file. JDBC is also your binary file. What are the things we should know about this? Let's say we will put some comments onto this file system. The comment should be like text file will not having any kind of structure. That means no structure. So when I say CSV file, that means we are using comma separated, but we can also can use other delimiters also. That for JSON file is your semi-structured. Okay, and here in this the column name and data type are name and data types are inferring automatically in this. And Parquet is your binary file. That means this Parquet file is very first, it is a default data formats, and this is very popular binary format in Hadoop. And ORC file is basically used with Hive, and JDBC is for reading and writing to your you can say RDBMS. Okay, so this is about the built-in data sources. So now we discuss about the data frame reader. So now we have a data frame writer. So we have a data frame writer. So now this data frame writer actually saves or write the data to the specified location, or you can say specified any kind of built-in data sources. So in the last session we checked that we have to save into the Databricks file formats, and then you can get the instance from data frame. How we can get this? So earlier we have this spark.read, but here we have a data frame. We just create a data frame, and then after that we will use the write method, or we can also use write data frame and write stream. And this is for your static, and this is for your real time, that is streaming continuous data. This is for static, and this is your continuous data. Now in this we have methods. Like methods are also something similar, so I'm not repeating those things, but I'll mention few of the very important things. Like, so now let's see the data frame writer methods. So that means method we have a format, okay, and then you can say argument. So this is something similar what we have done in the data frame reader. Now another thing is we have an option. In the option we have mode. Okay, the mode is your, let's say mode is your append. You can use append mode, or you can use overwrite mode, or you can ignore it, or you can have some kind of errors. Now in option you need to mention the path, and path is like where path to write, where you want to write the code. And third method, we have a save, and save, that means where you want to save to the location, any kind of thing. Or you can also use save as table. That means you need to mention the table name. So this is about the data frame writer. So today we have discussed about the data frame reader and writers and how we can create a data frame with the help of RUDs. Okay, so that's all about the today's session. Thank you very much.